Welcome to the Truman Charities podcast. I'm Jamie Truman, your host. I spoke with Annette Mango as part of our Vanishing Father series. Annette is a remarkable person. She spoke with me about her childhood and what her experience has been being a survivor of trafficking. Annette has now accomplished her survivor educator program and begun publicly speaking and sharing her story to help others. This is Annette's story. Hi, Annette. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good. I'm so thankful that you're coming on to tell your story. So thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And it's an honor. Thank you for having me.
So I guess let's start out from the beginning. What was your family dynamic like when you were born, when you were a young child?
It was normal to me.
Okay.
I had both of my parents, but they was divorced. So I spent a lot of time, summers, with my father's side of the family. But like going to school, I was with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So it was normal. I got
Like,
a brother,
did they live close by?
in the same city,
Okay.
but the only thing that I always notice is as a child is I never seen my mother and father together.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen them together. We
And
would
what?
go out, we would
Mhm.
go out to the car to my father, but I never seen them eye to eye next to each other or anything.
Right. So there's no communication really between your parents.
No, not as far, not then that I knew of. I didn't know that my grandmother was their communication.
Oh, okay. So she was the mediator.
Yes.
And what do you know about your parents' relationship?
As an adult,
Mm-hmm.
it was abusive. As an adult, I found out it was abusive. But as a child, I thought it was great. I I never even thought of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how a child's perspective, and as you get older and you mature, how you can see things in a different light. Yeah.
Yes.
So when did your parents get divorced?
I have no idea.
Okay, so you were really little.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what was it like at your mom's house versus at your father's house?
Well, at my mom's house, mom was always gone. Mom worked. Um, it was normal just for me and my sister and brother to sneak outside, um, go play, because mom had to work.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed in low income.
Mm-hmm.
And we always just had friends. The neighbors were supposed to make sure everything was safe, but we used to climb out the windows and stuff. Normal kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, in the summertime, I always sent over my grandmother's house. My sister and brother, they came sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but I was the one, they went to my mom's side of the family. They got to go out of town, but I always had to stay with my father's mother in town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what was it like at your father's house?
Um, I had, it was my grandmother's house. It
Okay.
wasn't, I guess my father, he didn't stay there, but I always end up going to my grandmother's house. I was a teenager, maybe 9 or 10, before my father had a house that I can go to that I actually seen him sleep in the house
Mm-hmm.
because he had got remarried.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and before that, yeah, 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 that's what happened. And then when he used to come and get us skating to go skating every Thursday, and I think he had a room or something.
Okay.
But it was good because we had activity.
Right. And how was your relationship with both of your parents as a child? Were you close
It
with
was
them or?
um I was close to my father,
Mm-hmm.
even though he wasn't really around. My mother was the a disciplined one.
Okay.
And I felt that she didn't pay me enough attention because she was always at work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so what was it like as you became a teenager?
Um, I was lonely. I didn't know how, as a teenager, I didn't know how to take care of myself as a young girl. I never, no one ever taught me about like my menstruation, keep my hair combed, um, my hygiene. I had an older sister, but she's like 3 years older than me. So if you look at that, she was gone doing her own thing because when I was 15, she's 18, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now my grandmother kept me doing what I did, but when I went to my grandma's house, I was always wanted to go play.
Mm-hmm. And so did that affect having friends in school?
Yes,
No.
it did. It affected me because as far as school went, I did good in school, but my brother didn't. And a lot of people didn't realize that my me and my brother had the same mom
Okay.
because she would come to the school and because my brother would do something and um, she would take care of what she had to take care of for him, but she would never come to my classes. None of my friends never from school never seen my mom or me because she would never come to my classes and things like that.
Now, do you think that's because she had to work so much, or why do you think that was?
Um, I personally just thought that I looked at more like my father,
Okay.
and my brother looked at more like her. And that used to affect me because my mother was so beautiful. You know, I used to want just people to see her, how beautiful she was. I mean, she looked real nice.
Mm-hmm.
And none of my friends from school knew if they didn't know my brother and seen her, they wouldn't know what my mom looked like. I wanted to brag on her.
Mm-hmm. And so how did that make you feel when people in your school weren't aware that, you guys had the same mom?
I we never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
We never. We just went on,
Mm-hmm.
but it used to hurt me.
Yeah. What was your relationship like with your older sister?
Really didn't have one. I mean, I knew she was my sister,
Right.
but we never did anything together or anything.
Mm-hmm. And then, so then you were 15. How was the remainder of your high school years?
Well, actually, when I was third, 12, 13, I actually got sent away to Palmerdale. I got sent away. Something happened in the family that the police came and got me and my brother. Something happened that I ended up getting sent to Metzabom, and um, my sister and brother didn't. And I never understood. I thought I was a bad child. I thought I just did everything wrong as far as my mother concerned, and she didn't want me no more,
Mm-hmm.
and she gave me up and she gave me to the system.
So you were sent to foster care?
I was sent to Palmerdale.
Okay. What is that?
It's for it's housing for it's an institution for bad kids or kids don't have nowhere to go.
Oh, and what was that like?
I loved it.
You did.
Yeah.
What was it like living there?
It was I got attention.
Mm-hmm.
I got attention and I had other girls and stuff there, but the only thing that was wrong that I had the lady who ran the house was a sister and her and she used to like whoop me with switches and stuff. She used to always hit me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
And
she abused me.
but you enjoyed it because of the friendships that you made there?
Yes, and no one ever talked to me while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as my family and stuff, all I know is that I was there, and I liked it because it was a different atmosphere than growing up and being in a projects.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet new people, and it seemed like everybody was like me.
And so when you went there, when you said 12 or 13 years old, and what about your father? Was, you said that
He
you
wasn't allowed to come and see me.
wasn't allowed. Did he try? Do you know?
I no, I don't know. My mother didn't come and see me. I didn't know. Nobody would talk to me in the family. I got one of these families that nobody tells me nothing. They
Mhm.
didn't tell me anything.
Mhm. Mhm. And then how long did you stay there?
I stayed there for maybe 2 years.
Okay. And then what happened?
So I found out that I could no longer stay there no more because they needed the space. They
Oh.
needed the space. So I started doing weekends at home. And when I came back, um, I was told that my mother had to come and get me or they would send me to the detention home because, I mean, as being teenagers, sister, the sister found we used to sneak over to the boys' side and the boys used to sneak to our side while we was
Yeah.
there. And so happily, um, I guess one of the boys that snuck over to the side and came into the cottage, I guess they put out a cigarette. And
Oh,
the
okay.
sister found the cigarette. And being in an atmosphere like that, if you wasn't there when everybody was getting in trouble, you was the one was picked that, hey, look, she did it.
Mhm.
She did it. She knew about it. And I mean, it happened all the time, and so happening since I wasn't there, I got blamed for it. So they
Oh.
told me I had to leave. And I loved being there because I love the school, being there. I learned how to play tennis.
Mhm.
Um, I got, even though I ran away every weekend to my mom's, during the week, I still had fun there. I did it. I got to work in the summertime, got a
Mhm.
job, yeah. But yeah, so my mom had to come and get me, and I was no longer there. They said that they needed the space.
Okay. And then what happened when you ended up going back home?
I didn't get along with my mom.
Because how
Um,
old were you at this point?
I'm 15,
Okay.
15 going on 16. And when I was in Palmerdale, I guess I got to the fact that I started caring about myself.
Mhm.
Um, I I didn't like being around that atmosphere no more because didn't nobody want to do nothing. What nobody wanted, I was at Palmerdale, you always had to do something, you just didn't sit around. They motivated you. They in school they told you, well, you can do this, you can do this, you can be this. And then I was getting ready to start ninth grade. I was getting ready to go to a school out in Parma. And going back home, that means I had to go back to the school where everybody in the projects went to.
Mhm.
And it just wasn't no motivation to me. I didn't want to be in that atmosphere no more. And I got in a lot of trouble with my mom. I used to sit up here and tell her how the teachers was, how they would pay me attention, how everything. And my mom didn't like that.
Okay. And then so you were getting in a lot of trouble at home. And then
Yeah.
how was school life when you went back to your old school?
Um, the girls were it was fine, but the girls wasn't doing like I was doing. It's like I was wearing skirts.
Mhm.
I just wanted to wear skirts. I thought you were supposed to be proper going to school, not just wearing jeans and stuff. Because being there in Parma, then the way they did things was different than the way you would do things at home. And
Mhm.
I liked it that one. I liked it feeling pretty, but not being penurious, not just wearing anything. I
Right.
do wearing dresses and stuff. Um, Made me feel important, made me feel like I was going somewhere. But going to back to that school and anything, because being in Parma and stuff, you just couldn't wear anything to school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my mom ended up sending me to my auntie house. She
How
told
old
me
were
I had
you
to get
then?
them. I was still 15,
Still
going on
15.
16.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's when and when I was with my mom, they that's when they first started busing. They
Mhm.
started busing us to the east side. And so um I started getting beat up all the time coming to the east side and everything. And it seemed like that nobody cared. I used to get chased to the bus stop and everything, and nobody cared. It just seemed like nobody cared.
And why do you think that you were treated so poorly?
I mean, because um, I looked at like my father.
Mhm. Okay. And so what was it like when you moved to your aunt's?
Oh, it was great. It was
Okay.
great. Because now I'm around people that look more like me. I look more like that. My uncles now came over around. I was more with my grandmother again. And I actually got to do what I wanted to do. Like I joined a gang. I didn't have to go to school. I was supposed to be in school, but didn't nobody make sure I was in school. Didn't nobody care about my grades. All I believe I was fit where I was at just so I could babysit.
Oh, okay. So your aunt had smaller children. And then what was it like when you joined a gang?
It was great. It was
Is it
great. I had
because
people
it's
who was mischievous like me,
yeah.
um, who just wanted to be adventurous, and then being in a gang was a family.
You know, I've heard that from people that I've spoke to that have been in gangs. They said it was like a family. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so what was that like? How long were you in that? What was that experience
It only
at
lasted
first?
maybe about a year and a half because for one thing, um, I I was in the ninth grade
Mhm.
when I ended up going to another school, and I didn't realize that all the people who I was hanging with and everything, and we went to school, that I was older than them, and I was actually in a higher grade. So I ended up going to high school while they were still in middle school. And then a lot of guys that we used to hang around with, they end up going to prison.
Okay.
So yeah, so a lot of different things happened, and my world was turned apart when they started going to prison, and then when all my friends was in middle school.
What were some of the reasons that the guys were going to prison?
They all of them actually went at the same time because they when we wasn't with them, we
Mhm.
found out that they had robbed somebody,
Oh,
and they died. The person they robbed died, and we didn't know nothing about it. So we
mm,
was like, they didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing, but
right.
they respected us enough not to. The girls, they didn't involve us in it,
Mhm.
so we wasn't involved, and we didn't know.
So then what happened when that kind of all fell apart?
Um, I When all that had happened and stuff, I end up going to a new school,
Mhm.
and I met different people from other um parts that came to school and everything, and I just started reaching out and everybody, and then I end up meeting a young man in my high school and end up getting pregnant.
Okay, and then how old were you when you got pregnant?
16.
Okay. And then so what happened from there?
um my aunt put me out,
Mhm.
and I end up going to live with my baby's father.
Mm.
And right when I was getting ready to have the baby, my aunt told me I can come back, and I went back, and I had the baby,
Mhm.
and I remember my aunt telling me that I had to get a job and everything. But all the while, I'm trying to go to school too, and she said that I had to support my baby, and my baby father was supporting him because he was in school too. And I talked to the daycare people at the daycare close by the house, and they told me that I could work there after school. But when I went to my aunt and told her, she said she wasn't going to babysit him. So no more. So I end up dropping out of school and not working.
Okay. And then were you living with your aunt still when you dropped out of school?
Yes, I had my son when I was 17.
Mhm,
I end up turning the next year I end up turning 18,
mhm.
and I end up getting my own place
Okay.
at 18. At 18, I got my own place through low income. And I got a job at a temporary service, and I took care of my son.
Okay. And then was the father still in the life of you and your son?
Yes, and then I broke up with my son, father with my son was 6 months because he did something that I could never have forgave him for.
Oh, okay. All right. So then was he still in your son's life after
Yes,
that?
he was. Well, actually, it didn't matter if he was or not because I took him over here. He lived it with his mother,
Mhm.
and I took him there. I took him to his grandmother's house.
Your son?
Yes,
Okay.
his father lived with his mother, and I took him there. I took him over his father's house anytime.
And then so what happened after that breakup?
Um, his really, to tell you the truth, his grandmother really ended up
Okay.
raising my son. Even though I would go get him and I would support him because I was working, I still didn't have a car or anything, and I was so young. So I worked and I partied and worked, went to see my son, made sure that he was financial. He had everything he needed, everything with his grandmother. I end up getting a good job. I end
Okay.
up getting a good job with the federal government. I end up
Oh,
working for the housing authority because I stayed in the projects,
uh-huh.
and they were looking for people who lived there to work for them
Oh,
for a couple of months because they had contractors doing jobs there, and so that's when they started doing that. And so by then, um, all while this stuff is all these things was going on. Um, I'm drinking. I'm smoking weed.
mhm,
My family was addicts,
mhm.
but functional addicts.
Mm. Okay.
And my father's side of the family, and I didn't, I didn't think if you didn't smoke and drink with the family, you just didn't belong with the family.
Okay.
Um, I got to go out with them all the time instead of going to school. I wasn't made to go to school. Um, I was just out with them all the time, and I'm smoking weed and drinking. We had parties at the house and stuff all the time,
Mhm,
so it was normal. It was
mhm,
normal size. I didn't think I belonged, but they were functional.
mm,
So as all these things going on and I'm growing older, I end up getting a good job and everything. And then with the job, I'm meeting other people. And as I'm meeting other people, I'm started graduating to more drugs
okay.
with other people, going out,
Okay.
belonging.
So
And
harder so you started experimenting with harder drugs?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And as I'm going, but I'm still functional. Then I end up meeting personnels, meeting stars and stuff from things that I'm doing. But I'm study graduating to doing drugs all the time now. But I held that job for 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But it started getting the best of me. Where I can no longer do the drugs and work.
Mhm.
But I'm meeting more different guys that I'm hiding this from everybody. Nobody knows it.
Oh, okay.
Nobody knows it. That I'm a drug addict about this time.
Mhm.
Nobody know it.
And how old
But
are you at this age? How old are you at this
um
time? I'm sorry.
I'm probably around in my late 20s.
Okay.
I'm in my 20s doing all this, and
Mhm.
nobody, 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 absolutely nobody ever asked me, is there anything wrong with me? Um, I'm holding 2 and 3 jobs now because I have to pay for my addiction.
Mhm.
Um, but my son is still taken care of. He's number one.
Mhm.
He's number one. Um, no one ever asked me anything about it. No one ever asked me why I never had a boyfriend that I actually lived with. I couldn't have a boyfriend because I'm working all these jobs. I mean, I was seeing different guys, but they had to have some money to help me take care of myself. But no one ever lived with me, and I used to always sit up there and say, because wasn't no man going other man gonna tell my son what to do. You
Mhm.
know, he's grown up now. You know, he's at that time he's 13 and 14. You
Oh,
know,
wow. Right.
and I'm like, and nobody ever knew it because he had the best of everything. He was number one. It
Mhm.
didn't matter. Um,
And
and nobody never seen it.
do you think that people didn't know because you were so good at hiding and you were functioning? Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And then nobody never. They used to always say, "Girl, you got a man. You ain't got no man." But they didn't understand. I couldn't have a man because how can I explain me doing drugs? I had to get my drugs in somehow between working, seeing my son, making sure I stay okay, making sure I eat. I mean, all that was a task.
Mhm.
It was a task. Um, until the bottom hit that one day one of the drug dealers, I used to go get drugs from the drug dealer, and I used to always get a package. And they didn't know I was on drugs. I used to tell them I used to sell it.
Mm.
And one of the drug dealers called me when I was at work and said that he needed his money. And I said, well, I got it, but I can't get it to you now. And he was like, well, you better bring it to me because he just got robbed and he had to do what he had to do. So, and I had a company card in. He said if I didn't bring him his money, he would come to my job. So I got in my car, in a car, and I proceeded to go to his house. And as I go to his house, I'm counting the money. I'm counting his money. And I go to the bank, I get the money, and I'm counting his money. And traffic stopped. Traffic was stopping. And when traffic stopped, I looked up and it was moving. But next thing you know, I looked back down for a minute to finish counting the money while I was driving, and I hit a car.
Oh, okay.
And being in an accident, working for the government like that, you automatically get a drug test. So they was gonna find out. So what I did was I ended up taking the car home, hiding the car in my backyard. Asked my brother. My brother worked it for where I worked for then, because I got him a job there. And he ended up coming to get the car, and I never went back
You never went back to
because
your
I
job?
didn't. Yeah, because I didn't want them to know what I was.
Mhm.
And I told everybody under the sun that I resigned from the job.
Oh, okay.
So I told the story for a long time. I resigned.
Mhm. And so what happened then? So you've quote unquote told everybody that you resigned from your job. So
Mhm.
you lost your job and then what?
I ended up being with somebody who actually had a lot of money, had a good career and everything. Because, like I said, I hided it for a long time. And
Mhm.
so I ended up getting into contact with somebody who I knew that cared for me and everything and had a good job. And he asked me to move in with him. So I did. I moved with him. He had no idea what was going on, and he told me that don't worry, I don't have to work because he can take care of me. But he was always in and out of town. So he used to always leave me money and everything. So I kept up. I still was able to go and get my drugs and everything. And he was never at home. So I never worked. And then he bought me a car. So that helped.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was things going on that oh he was messing around on me.
Ugh.
And I called myself being smart and leaving him. And when I left him, I ended up moving into someone who had a low income, who was just going to charge me a little money to live there. And my friend who I just moved from, he was paying the rent.
Okay.
He was paying that rent. And then that's when things got worse because I had no money now. Since he was paying all he was doing was paying the rent. So I had the smart idea of saying, well, hey, I still need my drugs. So I decided that I was going to go out and sell my body. I was going to go out and prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did. And actually, when it first started, um, it was okay.
Hmm.
It was cool. I mean, I would go out and sell my body. I would get the money. I would go buy me drugs and I would go home and it was fine.
Mhm.
But then after a while, it started getting so bad that I would run into people who was like raping me, ones who would not pay me, they would beat me, they would do things, and then um I started seeing meeting more different drug dealers and stuff. Didn't matter what their age was and stuff. They would say if you would do this and do this, you would get your drugs. So I started doing that. And then I lived at well, my son had turned 18. So my son is 18 now. So he's on his own. He's fine. The lady who I was renting a house from, she decided that she wanted her house back. So I became instantly homeless. And doing that, I'm jumping in and out of cars. I'm sleeping outside. I only have a bag full of stuff. And as that happened, I lived like that for a couple of years. And then I end up moving to different places and stuff. And one day I seen a young lady. It was cold outside. I mean, I was sleeping under bridges. I was sleeping in bus stops. I was sleeping in abandoned houses because I wouldn't go to my family and I really wouldn't let nobody see me. I would try to let nobody see me. And I end up couple of times, most likely getting raped and beat more often. I mean, I used to go in tall bushes and stuff and fall asleep and everything, but I still had my drugs. I would still get my drugs. And then somehow, some way, I end up living with other druggies, guys that would steal drugs. So they wanted for me to stay in their house. I had to give them drugs.
Mhm.
So then I said, forget this. I'm going to sit up there and just stay outside, sleep in abandoned houses. And I met this young lady one day and she said, hey, it seemed like you cold. It was real cold outside. And she said, it seemed like you cold. And she said, I see you make money and stuff and get what you want. She said, but I got some place you can come and I'll give you a little something to hold you over. And I said, oh, okay. I mean, I was getting out the cold and
Mhm.
everything, and I ended up going in this house and end up not leaving for 3 months because the people who gave me the drugs wouldn't let me leave. And to find that was the first time that I was that's the first time I was trafficked. And the lady told me that they would give me the drugs and everything, but it was so cold outside. I went in the house and they end up keep selling me and saying that I owed them. So they kept giving me the drugs and I owed them. And then people would come over and buy the drugs. Guys would come over and buy the drugs and they would say they would want to be with me and I they would give me drugs and I had to do things with them. So I was being sold over and over again for the drugs. And then one of how I ended up leaving at that house is a person that came to buy drugs said that he gave the dope dealers money, everything for me to go with him. And I end up leaving again to leave out that house.
Mhm.
And that was the beginning of me being sold over and over and over again.
And that was then
And
from that individual that took you out of that house. And then he
yes,
ended up
resold me. Yeah,
yeah.
he resold me to somebody, and then the drug dealer would say, here's something free.
Mhm.
And he'll get me a hotel room and he'll say, I'll give you this. And you just go out and make the money, but it didn't end up being that way. He used to, the people who would buy drugs from him, he used to send them in the hotel room and I couldn't leave because I owed.
Now, do you feel like the drugs then were helping you kind of get through it as well?
It did. It did. It
Helps
did.
you.
I didn't, it got so bad that I changed my name.
Okay.
I didn't know who I was. I changed my name.
And at this point, did your family or your son have any idea what was going on? Or were you
Not
still hiding
really.
everything?
I was
Okay.
still hiding everything. I would call my son every once in a while,
Mhm.
but he really, really didn't know what was going on.
Mhm.
And my family, they really, really didn't know what's going on. If somebody seen me, they told me, but I didn't go around no families
Mhm.
for them to see how things was and get them. And we're not going to account that. We're not even going to say how I been to prison 2 times, to Marysville 2 times, how many times I actually been to jail. We're not even gonna count how many times I've been to rehab. We're not even gonna count all the times because the first time I got trafficked is when I was 35 years old.
Oh, okay. And then what were you ending up going to jail for?
They used to say possession or
Okay.
prostitution
Okay.
or soliciting.
And then you would end up going to rehab, and then would you be clean for a while, or would you just get straight leave and go straight back?
I would end up in my
Mhm.
mind, um, I was clean and I wanted to stay clean.
Mhm.
But in reality, I had no money, I had no job, I had nowhere else to go. So I ended up going back where I was, where I knew. And I end up, someone offered me money. And to be able to go out there to do this, I had to be high.
Mhm.
I had to be high. So I end up getting more drugs, or somebody would give me drugs and say, hey, Nat, I ain't seen you, maybe in a month or so.
Mhm.
And here you go, and here I go. I'm back in the cycle because I still didn't have nowhere to live.
Right. And then so how did you eventually get out of this cycle?
Um, the cycle went on for so long how something different came along. I heard something different, which one day I went to I got picked up and I went to court. And when I went to court, a young lady came to me and asked me would I like to join the human trafficking court. And I'm like, what's a human trafficking court? I don't know. I said, would I get housing? And she said, yeah, we can help you with that. And I said, okay. And she said to me, she said, well, you have to want to do this. This is your decision. We're not, this has nothing to do with nobody else. If you want to do this, it's a 2-year program and we can do it. And I said, what? I said, what you mean is my decision? I get to make the decision.
Mhm.
I get to say what I want to do. And I'm saying it's free and you're going to give me housing. I said, of course. I want to go there. I want to do this. And I end up going to the human trafficking court. And when I went, it was amazing. It
Tell me
was a
about it.
sister. Well, it was a sister there.
Mhm.
I'm listening to all the other young ladies, which they're getting help. They're getting help. The judge asking them, how can I help you? What can I do for you? She's not telling them that this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. She said, well, we have the resources to help you. Then while I'm sitting in the back waiting for my name to be called, I hear sister say, hey, she will go up to this young lady and say, here, you've been doing good and everything. I want to give you this t-shirt. It was this red, bright t-shirt. And I'm sitting back there. And so I looked, and when the sister came back and sit in the seat, I went to her and said, how can I get one of those t-shirts? I want a t-shirt. And she gave me the Renee Jones Empowerment Center card. And she said, just show up there tomorrow and you can get a t-shirt. So after that, I told the judge that I was going to go there and everything. And I went. And from there on, my life changed completely to where when I got to this place, um, on the bonnet of the building, it said the Renee Jones Empowerment Center. So I said, okay. So I go inside this little bitty old place. It was so little. And a young lady come and she said hi. She greeted me. She treated me like I was human. She said who she was. She shook my hand and she said, Miss Renee will be right with you. And I said, excuse me, ma'am, what do you mean? Miss Renee. She said, yes, Miss Renee will talk to you. She got somebody else in there. She'll be right with you. And I said, you mean the same Renee whose name is on this on it out here? And she said, yes. I knew right then and there, I knew that somebody cared about me enough to hear their name out in bright and it's out there and they gonna meet me. They're taking this time to meet me because see, I thought about it. When I go to Dave's store, Dave don't come out and say, "Hey, you mind some grocery? Hey, I to meet you." You know, when you go places, the people who own the place don't usually come and greet you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when Miss Renee came out, she said, she told me who she was. She said, "How can I help you today?" She said, "What do you need? How can I help you?" She didn't say, "Well, this is what we're gonna do." She didn't say, "Hey, are you a drug addict?"
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say, "Hey, have you been to jail?" She did. She said, "How can I help you?" And from there on, we told. I told her about the things I was going through, what I have already been through, because you have to understand, all these years of me going to rehab, all these going to these different transitional housing and everything, I was stuck. I was stuck with, I couldn't move on. I kept being reintroduced to the same thing that I just did. I got so many certificates saying that I completed this, I completed that, but they was the same certificate, but just in a different place. The places that I had to go because I had no money, they were getting grants. And so I have a roof over my head with these places. I had to do what they said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no one ever asked me, like one place I went and I remember, for example, said they asked me my whole history. I told them, and there they didn't have nothing for me to do except for domestic violence. I'm 35, 36, and I told them when I was younger how I had a domestic violence situation when I was 18. And I'm asking them, why would I be going to domestic violence classes?
Right.
There's other things wrong with me that I need. They say, well, that's the only way you can stay here because we have funding for that. And I said, well, I don't have an education. Can I go to school? Can you send me for my G? They said, no, we don't have money for that. You have to do something that the grants pay for you to stay in this particular place. So that's where a lot of things happen at is that they end up letting us or putting us in places that we have to reoccur. We don't grow. We don't grow at all. We just stay in the same place. So being at Miss Renee's, being at this human traffic court, they helped me grow. I finished up my I finished up my counseling and everything, and Miss Renee asked me, "What else can I help you with?" And I never heard that because all everybody ever told me to do is go to a meeting.
Mhm.
If something wrong with you, pick up a book, talk to your sponsor. No one ever said, "Do you have any mental issues? Um, have you ever been raped before? Have you ever been beat before?"
Mhm.
No one ever asked me that. All they was so busy is keep sending me to these rehabs and everything. And I kept doing this cycle. But I knew something else was wrong. I knew I had other problems. And that court and Miss Renee now helped me realize there were other things wrong with me. And that was my beginning. That's what helped me realize that I kept being a cycle because no one else would help me push along. No one would help me. And
Mhm.
they did.
And so how long were you with that program?
Well, I ended up graduating from the human trafficking court.
Mhm.
It was a 2-year program. I ended up graduating in 18 months. Um, then with Miss Renee, I am still with Miss Renee Empowerment. I am still with her.
Okay.
Um, I do amazing things with her. I speak for her sometimes, but I still go to class with her too. On Thursdays and Saturdays, when they do things, I'm still involved. I'm just like everybody else. I do outreach with her, everything. I'm still involved with the Renee just because um, that's an all around group. If
Right.
you tell her you need something, if she don't have it there, she will make sure she get it for you. My mental state, we go to horse farms. She had galas for us. We dance.
Mhm.
She have all kind of people making sure we get what we need.
Yeah, I saw in 2017 you completed the survivor educator certification. And so
Yes,
since then you've been able to started publicly speaking, sharing your story and helping others. So how has that been
yes.
for you?
But it's been amazing because when it first started, a lot of organizations and a lot of groups were asked us to speak for them and to tell our stories and everything. And then Miss Renee noticed that other counselors and other people were also there on the panel, but all of them was getting paid.
Mhm.
We wasn't. We
Mhm.
were there to get paid, and she made sure she got with Miss Maureen, and she made sure that we took the classes through me and a couple other survivors. We took the classes with Western Reserve to
Mhm.
become public speakers and to not get exploited
Mhm. Yeah.
and to have them pay us for our voice. It's like we are, I'm my own contractor. I decide who I want to speak to. I decide how much I'm going to charge. I decide what I want to say and don't want to say. And Miss Renee, now, she's seen that.
How does
She's
that
seen that we was
feel
getting.
to now that you were for so long didn't have a voice and now you do? You decide, you make your own decisions, you do what you want, you have your own voice.
It's scary. It still feels scary, but at the same time, um, I feel honored to be able to do it without exploiting myself
Mhm.
over or letting someone else exploit me without even knowing the difference.
Right.
I feel extremely fulfilled within myself. I'm um, I'm happy. I'm not content. I'm
Mhm.
blessed.
I love that.
I'm blessed.
Now, I also read that you started to reunite with some family members. How has that journey been?
Oh boy, it's been the most exciting adventure of it all. Um, Reuniting with my family members was hard because I actually had to let them know the truth, not only about me, but with us as a family. And nobody wants to know about themselves. Um, but they're thinkers. They're glad I made them aware of because they didn't see it. And I have nothing but blessings from them. Um, Only one family member actually came to hear me speak, only because I think I'll be still careful with it because every family don't want to really know the truth
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on within the family. So I'm still careful of who I speak in front of, how I speak, from the age group and everything. You have to be aware of all this because um, telling your story, everybody can't handle it. And I might can't handle it. So I have to do the self-care for myself too.
And how is your son doing?
My son is blossoming. He think I can save the world. Every time I turn around, he's trying to save someone, and then he said, "I'm going to let you speak to my mom, or I'm going to give you my mom. Here's my phone number." And I keep saying, "Boy, is you crazy?" But I do help him. He is so proud of me. He think I can save the world.
Well, you definitely are making a very large impact. So
Thank
I
you.
don't disagree at all. And so, what would you say to a young woman that may be listening to this that's going through some of the tough times that you went through?
If you're going through these tough times, it's for a reason. Remember the tough times because they're the one that's going to help you with your future. They're going to guide you. They're going to make sure you stay where you need to be. Because if you try to forget, you're just going to reoccur. So remember what you're going through, and there is hope. My hope, my dreams, my road is not yours. You have to get your own. Never allow no one to give you theirs. You have to have your own. Your hopes are yours. Everything is your own. And once you decide that you are responsible for you, it's going to work.
Mhm.
You, long as you know you first. You cannot do anything without knowing yourself first. Get yourself together. Um, if you have questions, get them answered. Do everything before you put yourself out there to try to understand anybody else, how they did it and what they did.
Mhm.
Learn yourself first, and then it will become easier. This is not easy. This is not easy at all. I'm not going to lie to you. This is not easy and it won't be easy.
Mhm.
But if you know yourself, it can get you along the way. I cannot say enough of learn yourself, do self-care, because without you, nobody else can learn. You cannot teach nobody. You cannot speak to nobody. Please learn yourself first.
Mhm. Wow, Annette, I think that's a great way to end this conversation we're having. You are beautiful inside and out. I'm amazed by what you've been able to accomplish and how many people that you're helping in the community. So
I
I want
want
to
to thank
thank
you.
you. I
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Would you please put my email in this and everything? So I don't care where you at, who you are. If you need to contact me, please do.
Mhm. Absolutely. I will make sure that that is available for anybody that wants to reach out to you and speak to you personally.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thank you. And I really appreciated speaking with you. So thanks
I
again.
appreciate you for having me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode in our Vanishing Fathers series, please make sure to rate and review this podcast. The reviews really do count. If you'd like to hear more about the statistics and further understand the impact on fathers in society, please purchase our book, Vanishing Fathers, A Ripple Effect on Tomorrow's Generation. All proceeds from the book will directly go to charities that are helping at-risk youths. And if you'd like to follow us online, go to our website, trumancharities.com, Facebook @Truman Charities, Instagram, Jamie_Truman Charities, and you can follow me on LinkedIn @Jamie Truman. Thank you so much for listening to our Vanishing Fathers series, and please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes.